Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mark's Backyard Birds. Well, it's really the start of the bird feeding season here in mid-fall to late fall, and people are preparing their bird feeders for the fall and winter season. And one of the things you have to take in account are if you fed birds long enough, you know that raccoons can be a really, really big challenge. And I'm going to present to you some methods to deter them, to prevent them, to proof your feeders and your bird seed storage cans and things like that to get you through the season. Now, I know that everybody's bird feeding situation is different. Some people have to feed from their deck, some people can feed from poles in their yard, etc. So we're going to cover several different methods, and hopefully one or more of them will work for you in your little battle against these cute little guys here. The raccoons are adorable. I just think they're cute as they can be. You got the black mask and those faces. They give you looks and things like that, and you say, "Oh my God, they're so cute." But this is cute. This is not, and this is the rule number one: don't ever purposely feed raccoons or other wildlife. Bird feeding is one thing, and if some bird seed falls to the ground, or raccoons can get to it, but to intentionally to leave out like carrots and dog food and all kind of things for these raccoons, you're inviting trouble because these animals are vectors for rabies, and they definitely are vectors for distemper, and so they're not good to have around your pets and they're around your yard. And of course, they're attracted to human scent because human scent means food, trash cans, and things like that. So, what we're going to talk about is how to minimize the impact that raccoons can have on your bird feeding happiness. That's for sure. Well, first off, right off the bat, one that a lot of people can use, but not everybody, is by hanging your bird feeders from under the eaves of your house. So under the soffits in front of a big window, because the raccoons cannot climb glass. So if it's suspended from underneath the eaves in front of a big window, that's very, very effective. I've fed this way for many, many years, and I've never had raccoons in it. Now, is it 100%? If you know my rule, if you watch me, I always say never and never say always. I did have a customer years ago that she took to this method because I advised it to her, and it worked really great for her until one morning she walked out and all of her bird feeders were gone. And a guy was coming to work on their house or whatever, and he walked up to the door and he said, "Why are all your bird feeders on the roof of your house?" So in certain cases, they're smart, and they have the semi-opposable thumbs, so they're very dexterous. This raccoon had figured out he could lean over her soffit or grab they were hanging from a gutter, I do believe, and pull them up and got them up onto the roof of their house. So again, it works really well in some circumstances, but like most things, you have to try it and see if it works for you. Now, most of us feed via poles in our yards. And I'm a big proponent of baffles, in particular raccoon baffles. Now we have squirrel baffles, which are smaller, about maybe half the length of these, and they keep squirrels off of from climbing your bird feeder poles. Now remember, the squirrels are really good jumpers, where raccoons are not. Their weight prevents them from being able to jump really high. So baffles properly installed, and make sure that you listen to that, because I've had people. Instead of using the collar to suspend them on the pole like I've done here, they've actually just sat them on the ground. Well, that doesn't do any good against a raccoon, because he can come up and bear hug that baffle and go straight up it. Whereas if it's suspended like this, the raccoon has to start climbing the small section of pole, the 1-inch diameter down there, and then he gets to this bigger rope, and then he has to make the transition to bear hug it, and it's very, very hard for him to do. I'm not saying it's impossible. Like I said, never say always, but it has worked for the last 20 plus years for us. Now we are starting to gravitate to the little bit larger baffles. We've sold this 6-inch version of this baffle for many, many years and had great success. But here lately, we've had some people talking about they watched a raccoon actually been able to make that transition and go up it. So we're switching. We're going to carry more, and we already have some in stock. 8-inch diameter baffles instead of 6-inch. So we're going to be, again, you kind of have to keep the fight up and, make sure you're evolving with them. And then, of course, on your 4x4 post, they make baffles, and these are 8-inch baffles on these 4x4 posts. I want you to note that on the one on the right, this person had to add a second cone-shaped baffle even on top of a raccoon baffle. One of the things that raccoons will do, especially in early summer when they have babies and then going into fall, is they'll pyramid. The adult will stand up and have their hands on your pole, and then a little one will crawl up its back, and another one will crawl up its back, and if the baffle's mounted too low, especially, they can easily get up on top of that and keep going. So make sure, like in this picture here, I want to get back to this picture. Make sure that baffle is at least 4.5 feet off the ground. It doesn't matter if you can get it higher, get it higher. And it doesn't matter if your feeders are hanging a little below the top of the baffle. Like I said, raccoons aren't good jumpers. And so them being, they have to be able to make that climb. So raccoon baffles are probably as good as anything I've ever used at keeping raccoons out. Now, some people, it's not an option. You may feed from your deck, and so one of the alternatives is definitely the hot seed. And I promise you, you're not going to hurt these raccoons. But whenever people say, "Oh, that's cruel," no, I equate it to if you go to a restaurant and you bite into something that you've ordered and it's spicy and you didn't realize it was spicy, it's hot, and you go, "Ooh," and you take a drink. What do you not do? You don't take a second bite. And that's what this is about. Whenever and a matter of fact, raccoons rarely even take bites of it. Their nose, it tells them that, no, this is not something I want. I find that on my deck, where I have it in feeders on my deck, so I can leave them out all night, is the raccoons do not bother them. They go up and sniff it, and they turn and walk away. Same thing with dogs. A lot of times people are afraid to feed the hot seed because if it falls down, their dog might go eat it. No, watch dogs. They'll go up to it and sniff it and walk away. They know that is not what they want to eat. And that smell, their noses are very, very sensitive. So the hot seeds and the hot suets are I find them more effective against raccoons than I do squirrels. So I'm a big proponent of it. And, not just the pre-mixed stuff. They also have, like Kohl's has this flaming squirrel, an additive that you put into the bird seed. So your own bird seeds, so you like 3 capfuls for 5 pounds, et cetera. So, and you mix it up. Don't get it on your hands for sure. But it is people are always worried about it hurting the birds. No, it will not hurt birds. Birds are not at all sensitive to the heat, and they also have a body temperature of 105, which is higher than mammals. And so the heat doesn't affect them internally like some people are afraid of. So no, hot is a good way to discourage raccoons. And then as a kind of a little bit of a last resort for your bird feeders, I recommend if you're having and you don't want to use the hot seed, bring your bird feeders in at night, because yes, raccoons are nocturnal. And so you bring your feeders in at night, maybe have a tub like this inside and put your bird feeders in there overnight. The next morning you get up and you go hang them back out again. Don't worry if you're not an early riser. Believe me, those birds will come back to your feeders off and on all day. I always tell Melanie we're on a circuit. The birds in our neighborhoods are going around to all the different food sources, and they'll come back. If it's not out first thing in the morning, they'll be back in around to check on it a little bit later. So you just hang those back out, and then at night at sunset, when you take the dog out for the last time, or whatever your routine is, just take those feeders in, put them in a tub inside, and then put them back out in the morning. Very, very effective. Now, if you've got some out in the yard, but on poles with baffles, you don't have to worry about those. But if these are hanging on your deck and the raccoons can get to them, then definitely you might want to take them in at night. It's a good easy solution. Now, the other thing, of course, I talk a lot about not storing your bird seed inside. I store my bird seed in galvanized cans out on my deck, and the raccoons have or can get in them at times. And so what I learned to do years ago, I take a bungee cord and I hook it to one handle, run the bungee cord over the top of the can, and hook it on the handle on the other side, and the raccoons don't get it. They're like I said, they're strong and they're smart. They can smell that seed in there, and they're going to want it. But you can simple methods like a bungee cord can take care of them. So they're a challenge. We definitely know that they are, but we have to live with them, and they're great parts of like our environment, and they're important. But just know, you don't want to attract them because they can do a lot of harm, and you really don't want them like that picture with them, tons of them out in your yard because you're throwing out food for them. Please don't do that. Minimize the amount of food that may actually get to the ground for them through your bird feeders. You can avoid a lot of that, but you don't want to purposely draw them in. And there are some easy methods I just went through to help you prevent them from becoming a big problem. And you increase your enjoyment of your bird feeders, and you save money because, boy, they can go through a bunch of seed if they find out where it is and they can access it. So it's a great idea for a program. I know I've addressed this topic before, but I had a couple of updated things to be able to put in there. And it's a topic that is really important, man, because we want you to enjoy your bird feeding. So great idea for a program. Send in suggestions for more programs because I want to talk about what you want me to talk about. Give us a like, give us a share. If you're on YouTube and you hadn't hit subscribe yet, please do. And until next time, let's talk birds.